previous lecture when we were discussing the Keynesian framework, so we had excluded the monetary policy. But in today's particular lecture, we are going to include money and interest rates in the Keynesian framework in order to develop more intrinsicate ISLM model of how aggregate output is determined. It means that now we are including money and interest rates in our Keynesian framework. And when we include the money and interest rates in the ISLM framework, we are interested to know how these factors will determine the aggregate output level in an economy. It means that now we are going from the simplest Keynesian framework to the more complex model. It means that the ISLM model is more versatile and allow us to understand economic phenomena that cannot be analyzed with the simpler Keynesian cross framework. Actually, the ISLM model will help us understand how monetary policy affects economic activity and interacts with fiscal policy to produce a certain level of aggregate output. Similarly, how the level of interest rates is affected by changes in investment spending, as well as by changing in monetary and fiscal policy. It means that how best to conduct monetary policy and how the ISLM model generates the aggregate demand curve. Now we are going to start the construction of the IS curve. Actually, in the Keynesian analysis, the primary way that interest rate affects the level of aggregate output is through their effects on planned investment expenditures and net exports. It means that for the derivation of the IS curve, we need to understand two things. Number one, the behavior of planned investment spending, and second, net exports. You know that the interest rate affects the level of aggregate output is through their effects on planned investment spending and net exports. It means that the interest rate affects the planned investment spending, and similarly the interest rate affects the net exports, and on the basis of changes in interest rates and their effects on planned investment expenditures and net exports, we are interested to know that how the aggregate level of output is determined, how the aggregate level of output is changed, and on the basis of this change, how we can derive the IS curve. So it means that we need to understand the relationship between the interest rate and the planned investment expenditure first. Look at this diagram. In this figure, part A, where we have derived the investment schedule. Actually, this investment schedule represents the negative relationship between the interest rate and the planned investment level. As you know that business make investments in physical capital. For example, business spend their money on the purchasing of machines, factories, raw materials. So business make investment as long as they expect to earn more from the physical capital than the cost of a loan to finance his investment. So when the interest rate is high, few investment in physical capital will earn more than the cost of borrowed funds. So plan investment is low. But on the other hand, when the interest rate is low, many investors in physical capital will earn more than the interest cost of borrowed funds. Therefore, when the interest rates are lower, business firms are more likely to undertake an investment in physical capital, and the planned investment spending will be higher. That's why we can say that the relationship between the interest rate and planned investment expenditure is inverse or negative. If this relationship is inverse, so you can see the negative relationship between the interest rate and planned investment spending from this investment schedule. The small I represent the interest rate and the capital I represent planned investment expenditures. So when the interest rate rises from I1 to I2, the planned investment spending decreases from I1 to I2. So we are moving from point to 1 to point 2. And again, if the interest rate rises from I2 to I3, it means that our planned investment spending decreases from I2 to I3. It means that now we are moving from point 2 to point 3 on the investment schedule. When we draw these 3 points, 1, 2, and 3, we get this curve. This curve is known as investment schedule. And this investment schedule shows the negative relationship between the interest rate and the planned investment expenditures. It means that when now we need to understand the relationship of the interest rate with the net exports, panel B of this figure. It means that if there is a change in the interest rate, how it will affect the net exports. For example, when interest rates rise in the United States, for example, US dollar bank deposits become more attractive relative to deposits denominated in foreign currencies. For example, in the US banks, people have different deposits. Now, some deposits are, for example, in US dollars, and some deposits are in other currencies. For example, euro, sterling. If the interest rate rise in the United States, so US dollar bank deposits become more attractive relative to other foreign currencies. It will cause a rise in the value of dollar deposits relative to other currencies. So we can say that there must be a rise in the exchange rate. The United States dollar rate as compared to other foreign currencies will be higher. So the higher value of the dollar resulting from the rise in interest rates make domestic goods more expensive than foreign goods. The domestic goods produced in the United States will become more expensive as compared to the foreign goods, thereby causing a fall in net exports. So the resulting negative relationship between interest rates and net exports can be denoted by the net export schedule. Look at this panel B. On the vertical axis, we have interest rate denoted by small I, and on the horizontal axis, we have net exports denoted by NX. When the interest rate was I1, the net exports was NX1, and we are here on point 1. But when the interest rate increases in the United States, it means the net exports decrease from NX1 to NX2. So we will move from point 1 to point 2 on the net export schedule. And similarly, if the interest rate further increases in the United States, it means the exchange rate would be higher. So the net exports will decrease. That's why we will move from point 2 to point 3, and now our net exports will be NX3. When we join these 3 points, point 1, point 2, and point 3 with each other, we can get a curve which is known as net exports schedule. Actually, this net export schedule represents the negative relationship between the interest rate and net exports of the United States. If there is an increase in the interest rate, how it will affect the aggregate output. So you can see this figure C from the Keynesian framework. From this figure C, you can determine the effects of changes in interest rates and the aggregate output level. This is Y1 AD, which is equal to C plus I1 plus G plus NX1. Actually, I1 represents the original interest rates, this one, and NX1 represents the original net exports value. So this was the original aggregate demand curve, and the 45-degree line represents the aggregate output curve. And you know that when the aggregate demand curve touches the aggregate output, so point 1 is known as the equilibrium output level. At this equilibrium output level, y is equal to YAD, or we can say that y is equal to Y1 AD. It means that quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied. But when there is an increase in the interest rate, you know that the investment level will decrease, and similarly the net exports will also decrease. It means that we will come from Y1 AD to Y2 AD. But again, when in this schedule the interest rate rises from I2 to I3, it means that the planned investment spending decreases by more amount. And similarly, with the increase in the interest rate, the net exports also decreases. So this increase in investment decreases both the planned investment spending and net exports of the United States. So we will shift from Y2 AD to Y3 AD, and we will move from point 2 to point 3. Now look at the aggregate output level, that how the change in the interest rate affects the aggregate output level. So very simple. When the interest rate was I1, the equilibrium point was 1 in the Keynesian cross diagram, and we had Y1 level of output. At this point 1, Y1 AD is equal to Y, and this was the equilibrium point initially. But when the interest rate increases from I1 to I2, it negatively affected the planned investment expenditures and net exports. It means that now we have a new equilibrium output level. That's why we are moving from point 1 to point 2, and now we have a new output level which is Y2. But when the interest rate again rises from I2 to I3, it means the planned investment expenditures decreases from I2 to I3, and similarly the net exports decreases from NX2 to NX3. It means that both the planned investment spending and net exports decreases from the original position. We are moving from point 2 to point 3, and at this time we have Y3, which is the aggregate level of output. We can say that if interest rate rises, it means that planned investment expenditure decreases, as well as net exports also decreases. In the result, aggregate demand decreases. Look at these curves. We are coming from Y1 AD to Y2 AD, and then from Y2 AD to Y3 AD. So if aggregate demand is decreasing, it means that the aggregate output level is also decreasing. Look at, we are coming from Y1 to Y2, and then from Y2 to Y3 finally. What is the conclusion? If with the increase in the interest rate, both the planned investment spending and net exports are decreasing, it will also decrease the aggregate level of demand. and if the aggregate level of demand is decreasing. So finally, it will negatively affect the level of aggregate output. On the basis of this relationship, we can simply derive the IS curve. Look at panel D. We can derive the relationship between the interest rate and the aggregate output level directly from the IS curve. When we join these three curves, we can get this red line curve. This is known as the IS curve. We can see that this curve has a negative slope because of the negative relationship between interest rate and the aggregate level of output. As you can see from here, if there is an increase in the interest rate, it will negatively affect the level of output. So here we can see that if the interest rate rises from I1 to I2, the output level will decrease from Y1 to Y2. It means that we will move from point 1 to point 2. And if there is an increase from I2 to I3, it means that if the interest rate further rises, again the output level will decrease and we will move from point 2 to point 3, and the new output level will be Y3. It means that an increase in the interest rate is negatively affecting the aggregate level of output. That's why the slope of the IS curve is negative. So the IS curve traces out the points at which the total quantity of goods produced equal the total quantity of goods demanded. Actually, it describes points at which the goods market is in equilibrium. So at point 1, point 2, and point 3, all these points lie on the same IS curve. So these points describes that the goods market is in equilibrium. For each given level of interest rate, the IS curve tells us what aggregate output must be for the good market to be in equilibrium. So if the interest rate rises, planned investment spending and net exports fall, which in turn lowers aggregate demand. So in the result, aggregate output must be lower in order for it to equal aggregate demand and satisfy the market, the goods market equilibrium.